Okay, today is March 20th, 2016. Hope everybody had a nice weekend and is getting ready to resume trading tomorrow. It's going to be a short week. I was reminded by one of my followers. I didn't even realize that it was Easter coming. So it's going to be a short week and should be interesting. We had a pretty interesting week with the FOMC meeting, and it played out pretty much to what we expected. So let's take a look at the market, and then we take a look at those momentum stock that we've been following. Okay, let's start off with the oil, the crude oil. We're looking for the this 38.58, right? This level here to be taken out, and we saw it actually gapped up on that. This gap is not really a gap because basically it's just a rollover to the next contract month on the crude oil, but still you can see it is making a move higher. And right now we're essentially looking for this these two levels to be taken out, get up to the zone here to the 44-45 area, and then I believe that might be the little bit of a top range for a little while, and maybe we will chop around between this 35 and 45 area. Okay, I think that would be a price that maybe OPEC might decide to hold for a period of time. Okay. So then also in the gold, we're looking at the gold and talking about that the possibility of pulling back to this 1191, essentially this 1200 level. It did break out of this little flag that I thought one was seeing, but then it kind of pulled back, and maybe it's doing a little bit of a shake and bake. I don't know, but I'm kind of leery about this particular move right now. I'm sort of looking at the possibility of maybe coming down, set up a little bit of a bull flag or sort of a pullback channel, to come down and retest this retracement zone, and then make us move up. Then maybe we get to these level up here at the 1348. Okay, so basically that's what I'm looking at right now. So if you are long into the gold right now, trail your stop. If you are not long, just don't chase it, because I think it's a little bit too risky up here to try to define your risk to go and chase after these, unless you're basically just doing scalping or day trading. So, and looking at the bond, the 10-year bond, we're saying that they're going to pull back and will resume back up after the FOMC meeting, after they announce there will be no rate hike. And essentially that's what we are seeing right now. And you can see the future market is actually ticking it back up right now. Okay, and then on the 30-year bond, same thing, pull back, and now it's pushing up. So we expect this thing to go back up as the yield coming back down. And then the dollar, we also was looking at the dollar to come back down after the FOMC meeting, and you can see that's what it did. All right, so right now I'm still looking at this 94, 93 area for the dollar to pull back to. Okay, and on the index, the Dow future, we're looking at, see right now, essentially the Dow future have traced it 100% of this major move. All right, okay. So and the target level still remaining up at this pivot, and so we're looking at this particular zone here, okay, between 17,660 to 17,827, somewhere up there. Okay, if we see a pullback, we probably pull back to this 17,175 to 17,039. Essentially back in this zone here, but I do see it come up and test this pivot. If not, take that pivot out. Then once they get up to this 17,827, then we probably start talking about the possibility of having this thing retake the May 19, 2015 all-time closing high level. Okay, but right now we still just kind of monitoring for this zone here, for this thing to come up, and a pullback possibility to this level here. Okay. And then on the ES, the S&P 500 future, see that it continue to move above this pivot. That's the September FOMC meeting intraday high, and right now, basically looking at this particular zone, right, this 2053 to this 2091, and with the pivot up here somewhere around 2075. Okay, and if we see a pullback, we'll probably see a pullback to this 2011 area. Okay. and maybe it could come back down to this level here, this one 1987, and make a push. Okay, but if it's a pullback, probably see a little bit minor pullback down to this 2011 level, and then make a move. So essentially, probably looking at something like this, right? To kind of chop up, but don't be surprised to see a little bit of a pullback down to this level here, 1987, because the market is a little bit overextended and it doesn't go straight up, right? So it'd be good to get a little bit of a pullback to digest some of the gain, the recent gain, before we make another move up. Okay, so then we look at the cash index, the S&P 500. It kind of tagged this zone, so we're basically looking for this zone to price for it to come up, come into the zone, and depending on, is it going to do it after a pullback, to this 2020 level, or it's going to come up and then pull back to the 2020 before it make another attempt to maybe test the all-time high. Then on the spider, you can see the spider is also making a little bit move. With the basically there's a dividend last Friday, so that's why this the spider a little bit kind of distorted from the cash index or the future, but you can see that it still remain to move higher. And although we got a little bit of a doji inside bar last Friday close, but again, because of that dividend play, so it might distort the pattern a little bit. But we're still looking at this thing to move up to this zone at 205.77 to 209.67. Okay. And then we're looking at the NQ, the Nasdaq 100 future. It's still haven't come back up to this pivot yet. We're still looking for this thing to come up to this 44.41, 44.42 level. Okay, and that's basically that FMOC. That September FMOC pivot high, and same thing with the Q. We're looking at this 108.73. Okay, and then the Russell 2000 futures. Right, we're looking for it to come up and tag this 1109 and possibly come up and take out this or test that 1160. Right, because you can see that there's like a nice little flag here also, right, and you can say if we do a little bit of a major move here, and we essentially could get this thing up here to the 80%, the 618. Okay, finally got that tag and anchor. So so the 78.6, essentially somewhere around this 80%. So it's within this area here is this 1160. Okay, but the 100% move is basically up at this pivot here near this 1210, 12. Okay. So you might want to keep an eye on that. And if we look at, let's see what it looks like on a Fibonacci retracement. No, it's not deep enough to retrace on a 618, so we won't be looking at a Fibonacci retracement play here. So essentially you're looking for this like a little bit of a bull flag, and then pull up to this 1160 to possibly to the 1180 level there. Right? And then if we look at the IWM, similar type of a move here, so looking at this possibility to come up after we tag this 110.61 to 115.20. Okay, so let's go and just follow up on the Dow Jones Transportation. We looked at the Dow Jones Transportation last week and saying that it's continued to move higher and got a little bit of a pullback, right? And then just once it broke through this 70.28, it just took off. So right now we're essentially looking for this 81.42 to 81.98. Okay, this is the zone that we're looking at, right? And then the VIX. Okay, let's take a look at the ETF. Look at the ETF and the VIX. We are talking about this depending on the sentiment of the market, and if the market believes there's going to be a surprise from the Fed, then we'll probably see an elevated volatility. But it appeared that that was not the case, and we say then will likely be pulled back to this 1958 and possibly to 1882. So essentially these two levels here. Right now it's kind of trapped in between that. I do expect that probably in the coming days we probably see this volatility just come back up and maybe try to tag this 2113 level as the market get a little bit overextended and people just getting a little bit anxious about the possible correction. So I think people will start buying some protection. Okay, so that's the index, and let's take a look at the stock, those momentum stock that we've been following. First one is good old Apple. All right, we saw Apple came up and tagged this 105.57. That was the level that we've been waiting for, right? After it come up to this 101. So right now, essentially, you're looking for the next level to be somewhere around this 109.43. And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe this is a product announcement event on the 24th, basically this week. Okay, so be careful on that, because you could see a lot of time on Apple on these corporate events, they will run the price up and then sell it off after the event. So it's basically buy the rumor and sell the news. Right, so got to watch that. So we might get a little bit of a pre-event run up to this 109 level, and then maybe we see a little bit of a pullback down to this 105. Okay. So, but certainly right now Apple seems to have the momentum on the upside. You can see that we got a little bit of a bull flag here, this little pullback, and right now it's bumping up against 618, and you can see this 109 is between the it's pretty much like the 80% to the 100% is 110. Okay, so it's close to that 80% level here. Okay, that 109. Right, and then we have Facebook. Facebook, we're saying that we are looking for Facebook to come up and possibly tag the is high. So we still continue to monitor that for this thing to come up to this this particular high here, which is 117.59. Okay, so if we get a little pullback, we can look at this. When I got this 108.80, essentially this level here. Okay. So a minor pullback is reasonable, but I'd be surprised if we'll come back down to this zone here, to this 50% retracement zone on this particular swing move here. Because right now we're essentially looking at this particular Fibonacci swing to this 141 and 1618. Okay, so it's basically between this 116 and 117.59. So the all-time high essentially trapped between those two levels. And then Netflix, we're saying Netflix is very resilient, holding up that 95 area, and it came back up above this 97 and tagged this 101. Okay, 101, 102. So we're going to continue to move this. Watch Netflix break above this 101.86, then move up to this 110 level here. Okay, so basically looking for that to get tested. If it pull back, then we'll probably see this 97 and 95, will be retested. But I think it will hold this 95 because, and I'd be surprised if it will come back down to retest the 95 this week. So I'd be looking for this thing to maybe continue to make move higher to this 110, and then maybe we get a pullback of this 110 to possibly the the 100 level as a test of support. So we just have to wait and see on Netflix. Okay. And then we got Twitter. Originally, I thought Twitter might just kind of do a little bit of a pullback and then come back above this 119 and do this particular inverted head and shoulder type of pattern play. Right? This right here. Then we get this major move. I believe. Let me see what it was. Okay, let me do this here. Oops. Because we're looking at this major moves maybe somewhere around here. Okay, so that 100% is essentially up at this $24 here on this major move, and the possibly the 80% somewhere around this 23. Okay, but right now it appeared that they pulled back a little bit steeper than I originally expected. So right now we're basically looking for this possible inverted head and shoulder. Okay, so we're looking for this as a pivot point here, and maybe we get up to this 26. This is somewhere around up at the these level here. Okay, so we just kind of have to keep an eye on that to see could it get a bounce off of this 50. This is essentially the 382. So right now it's bumping up against the 50%, into this retracement zone here. So we want to see can it get above this 19 and then make a move on this 2032. And if we could take out this 2032, then we could see this potential inverted head and shoulder play out. Okay, but for now we basically have to keep an eye on this 1904 area. Okay, so let's see what's next. Amazon. Okay, Amazon is pulling back after it came back up to this 580 level. Seems like it bumping up some resistance here. Okay, so we might be seeing a little bit of a consolidation pattern here. Okay, maybe set up a little bit of a bull flag and then make us move up to this 638. Okay, but have to be careful on this thing, right? Because if it come down and it doesn't get a bounce on this 529 here, okay, essentially this 50% level, then we have to keep an eye on this 474, because what could happen is that we might get this H pattern breakdown play. Okay, so we're gonna keep an eye on those level. But if this thing could consolidate and push out of this 580, then we're essentially looking for the possibility of 638. Okay? And then Google was talking about this level here that it has to hold. So came down, tested and passed it, and then 2 weeks ago came back down again and passed that test. So right now it broke above the 752. So we're basically looking for the possibility of move back up to the all-time high here, and maybe possibly come up and tag this and test it. So we gotta watch out for this. We got a little bit of an evening star type of pattern going on here, so we might see a little bit more of a pullback, down to this area before it make another move. Okay, so kind of keep an eye on that that possibility of a little bit of a pullback to this 742 area here. Okay, so just kind of keep an eye on that. And then finally we got Tesla. We were saying that we're looking for Tesla to come up and tag this 231, which it did. So right now it's want to see can it come up and fill this gap here and get up to this pivot, and we might get maybe a little bit of a pullback, and then we'll see what going to transpire. It could set up a little bit of an inverted head and shoulder, or it could be a little bit of a cup and handle and that kind of stuff, right? So just keep an eye on that. Wouldn't be chasing Tesla right now if you're not long. If you are long, then hey, don't get greedy. Lock into some profit, or put your trail stop on it to protect some of those profit. Okay, so good luck next week.